Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is the first episode in a series of videos we're going to produce through Ramadan. The intent is to have reminders, discussion, answer questions, cover topics every day throughout the month of Ramadan. So, without delaying, let's have a look. So this column here, right in the middle, talks about Islamic belief and its belief system. It covers everything from the names of Allah. So for example here, we have the names of Allah and many books related to the names of Allah and His attributes. Who is the one we worship? What are those characteristics and what makes Him a God, the creator and sustainer, and so on and so forth. We talk about many things. So for example here, we've got one on angels, for example. Specific book on angels. This is one of my favorite books here. This one talks about Iman, the increase and decrease of Iman, how do you increase and decrease your Iman, and so on and so forth. We have many different topics. Like the hereafter is another topic here. So these are different topics that hopefully we'll cover and touch upon throughout this Ramadan in our daily series. This one here, one of my favorite columns, this focuses on tafsir. So from all the way up to the top, coming down to about here, there are various different books of tafsir, how to explain the Quran, explaining the sciences of the Quran, from the language, different recitations, and so on and so forth. So we have a lot going on here, and this column as well. So this is also different books of tafsir, or some call them exegesis. That's a fancy word for explaining the Quran. So this column here focuses on different scholars have wrote books on explaining the Quran from the beginning to the end. Whereas this column here, it does cover different sciences related to the Quran. So for example, these books here refer to the different recitations of the Quran. This is a really good book. This one is basically a dictionary, you could say. A dictionary of topics. So if you want to find the topic of death, it brings you all the ayat of the Quran related to death, for example, or the topic of the angels. It will bring all the ayats related to angels. So it's really good for like research purposes. For example, here just a dictionary of important words of the Quran. And what other ones? This is a good one. Al-Isti'ab. This talks about the different reasons why verses were revealed. What we call in Arabic asbab al-nuzul. It's a small version, and this is a longer one. So basically, if you say that an ayah was revealed under circumstance, so an event happened, someone asks Messenger of Allah, like in the ayah, Allah says, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ. They ask you about drinking alcohol and gambling. So the wording of the ayah indicates that there's already been a question preceded the revelation of the ayah. So different circumstances occur, and these books cover these circumstances. What were the stories behind the revelation of the individual ayah? If anyone doesn't know, the Quran wasn't revealed in one big book. It was revealed in stages. So events happened, things occurred, and then Allah revealed an ayah. Not every single ayah had a reason for it, but there were plenty of ayats that have a reason behind it. What other books are other sciences talk about? There are many others. These books deals with tajweed of the Quran. This one deals with the miracles of the Quran. One of the biggest miracles of the Quran is the language itself. No one's been able to make something like the Quran. This one's a nice one. I like this one. Ta'wil Mushkil Quran. So there are sometimes might be a verse that we may feel is confusing, contradictory. The purpose of this book is to explain how there are no contradictions between the two ayahs. It just explains how to understand correctly. This one's a good one. This is a refutation of those who accept the Quran only and reject the Sunnah. So anyone who only says they believe, we only accept the Quran, we don't accept the Sunnah. That whole book there explains how the Quran and the Sunnah come together. Anyway, from here on we have different books of tafsir. So as you can see, although the Quran is one book, this is an explanation of the whole Quran by a scholar called Tahir ibn Ashur, another scholar called Imam Baghawi, and this is Qurtubi, and so on and so forth. So now we have different books of tafsir. So throughout the Ramadan, we'll cover maybe some topics of tafsir, explaining certain verses of the Quran, and we'll be using these resources in our work. Anyway, next one. This column here deals with the hadith. Now, anyone who doesn't know what hadith is, you can say, what the Messenger of Allah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what he said, what he did, what he approved of. Whereas the Quran is the word for word speech of Allah. So that's the difference between the Quran and the Sunnah or the Hadith in Islam. So if you're coming from a Christian background, I don't think there is an equivalent, because the Bible is just a written book. No one really knows who the authors are, generally speaking. But and the words of God, you could say, are within it. So it has inside the Bible, God said. So if that was what God's words were, then that would be he could say the equivalent of the Quran, which it isn't equivalent, but I'm just saying. But in terms of from a Christian background, there is no one book which is what Jesus said, and another book is what Allah said. But if you come from a Jewish background, I guess you could loosely say there's something called a Talmud, but let's not go into that. Anyway, so here we have different books collecting hadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you have Sahih Bukhari, it's the explanation of Sahih al-Bukhari. We've got Muslim here in the middle. We've got Muslim here. We've got At-Tirmidhi, got Abu Dawood. For those who know those names, you know those names. For those who don't worry too much about it. But the point is, these are books containing the actions, sayings, and events of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And because this is to do with history, you could say, technically speaking, this column here deals with exactly that also, history. So we have the biography of the Messenger of Allah, Seerah, stories of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Seerah A'lam min Nubuwwah, this is biographies of scholars and whoever significant icons in Islamic history. This book here, for example, deals with the history of Islam. So we will cover through Ramadan topics to deal with history as well, historical context, and learn about Islamic history is very, very important. Sometimes people don't think it is. They think, oh, we just want to have Quran and Sunnah. But history is also important. Knowing your heritage, knowing where we've come from. I'm not just talking about scientific history and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about, just generally speaking, knowledge of our great icons in Islam, the righteous, the scholars, our leaders, even our poets. All these things are very important. So this kind of covers them up to this point. However, down this way, this is more to do with learning from the Sunnah. So you have different books talking about various topics derived from the Hadiths. At the bottom, I want to draw your attention to this book here. It's a very good book. I haven't read it yet. One day, inshallah. But it's a very interesting topic. It is human rights in Islam. We always hear about human rights in society, human rights this, human rights that. But what does Islam say about the rights given to human beings? Very good topic. I will definitely try to pick something from that during this month of Ramadan. Then we have where my speciality comes into. So this column, and that column, these three columns are technically where when I graduated from the Islamic University, Medina was my specialty, which is Islamic law. So from about here, you could say, we have books on what we call fiqh. Fiqh is Islamic law. So various people write different things. So scholars, they take knowledge from the Quran and the Sunnah and they extract Islamic rulings. So they'll say this is allowed, this is not allowed, based on what they've understood from the Quran and the Sunnah. And we have a long heritage and history of those writings. So starting off here, this is, you could say from these two columns here, these are books and writings on different topics. So maybe a scholar would write a book on one particular topic. Let's take one of my favorite ones. Okay, like this book here, and this book here, or these three I should say. These are very good books. It talks about Islamic politics, I could say, or Islamic governance. How does Islam rule government? That's basic topic, yeah. How does Islam rule the government? How do you choose a leader? What rights does the leader have? What can he do? What can he not do? So definitely, especially due to our politically charged environment we live in today, I would definitely take something from that during this month of Ramadan. Oh, another one I really love. I love this one. I love this topic to bits. Because many people don't even think it even exists. Islamic economy or economics. How does the Islamic state actually run? I mean, where does the money come from? You can't just run the whole Islamic community just on zakah. So where do you get money from? So this and other books related to اقتصاد الإسلامي. This is a good one. Qada. If only people knew about Qada. This is how you actually be a judge in Islamic courts. What is the role of the Islamic judge? And what is our position and our behavior towards the Islamic judge on his judgments? Okay, I guess you could say. Very important topic. So we'll definitely touch upon some of those things. We'll take some benefits from what does it mean to be an Islamic judge and what does an Islamic judge do, I guess. There's one particular book I'm looking for. I can't see it. I don't know, my eyes is failing me. I don't know where it is. Anyway, it's called Mumarasatul Fan. So basically, it's talking about the book or writing about different aspects of society as relates to the arts. So Islamic ruling on dancing, Islamic ruling on architecture, on photography, on different arts. It's a very good topic. So hopefully I won't touch upon some of that, especially as I'm recording. So I'm recording video. That's a good question. Am I even allowed to? Good point. Anyway, good topic here. I will definitely touch upon some of this, which is to do with the Islamic history of fiqh. Where does the Islamic law come from? What's the history behind it? And where are you at now? That's a very, very good topic to understand where we are and what's the importance and significance of the Islamic law. Many people, they belittle the Islamic system and think, oh, it's archaic and it's backwards and it's old. Not realizing that, no, the Islamic system is applicable for now, the past, and also the future. Allah's given us a robust system that can deal with all situations of life, like inheritance. We covered this. This is the book we studied in the Islamic University Medina to do with inheritance. Lovely book by Sheikh Fawzan. So I think I've already got a video on inheritance, so I don't think I'll really touch upon inheritance, to be honest. So if anyone really wants to watch or find out about inheritance, I have a whole video on it already, so I'll refer to that in the description, I guess. Hopefully I'll remember to put in the description. And here comes the juicy bits. Okay, so this column, this row, and that row, and is it this row? No, not this row. Just from here to here, and a bit of here, I think, somewhere. We have Hanafi fiqh. So this is one of the main books of the Hanafiya, and their Islamic jurisprudence. Then we start coming from here down to up here. This is what you call Maliki fiqh. And this particular book here is the book we studied in Medina Uni, hence why it's worn out, because it's a character uni all the time. This is even comparative fiqh, it's very important. The author is Ibn Rushd, but it is comparative fiqh, meaning it's not just, although it's a Maliki scholar and he writes, I guess, with a Maliki flavor, it's comparative fiqh, so it's not, he talks about all the other scholars and schools of thought as well, and discusses why they had their opinions, I guess. So it's good to understand different contexts in the Islamic rulings and why they differed. Here comes Imam Shafi'i, the Shafi'i fiqh. This one, Al-Majmu' by Imam Nawawi. All this is to do with Shafi'i fiqh. This is Imam Shafi'i himself wrote this book, Al-So this is what you learn about the Shafi'i fiqh. And because of my background, I have an extensive collection of Hanbali books. So from up here, Bin Mughni, coming down here, all these are what you would call Hanbali books. Also down here as well. These two columns down here, these are Hanbali books. So back to the point. So from here, you can say this is fiqh as it is going down. Then we have Hanafi fiqh coming down, Maliki. Then we have Shafi'i. Then we have Hanbali. Yeah, Hanbali. So why is that important? So we'll definitely be touching upon all of this during these daily videos we'll make, taking lessons, masail topics from here. And by the way, if anyone has any questions that they have regards to Islam, and when I say questions, I don't mean yes or no answer questions, I mean complex questions that I can make a whole video out of. Mention in the description below. Hopefully I'll maybe give me some topics to cover. Now these books here are the really interesting bits. This is the juicy bits. Juicy. Why are they juicy? Because these books essentially are
the tools used to derive fiqh. So let's take a step back. A scholar would use the rules and regulations and the knowledge and the tools in these books here to go to the Quran and the Sunnah and extract rulings, and they'll place those rulings in these books here, which is the books of fiqh. One more time. Here are the tools, what we call the usul, the tools of fiqh. You use that on the Quran and Sunnah to understand them correctly, and you'd extract from that rulings and place them into these books, which is basically a conclusion, the answers. So this is juicy because this is the actual tools. When people say to you, yeah, akhi, here's a hadith, accept it, blah, blah, blah. It's not so straightforward. You have to use tools to understand the text. Yes, there is a hadith, but what have you extracted from that hadith? And is your extraction correct? That's where you come to this one. So one quick example, just a quick example. La ta'kulu bishimal. So the shimal, left hand. Don't eat with your left. فإن الشيطان يأكل بالشمال. Because shaitan, he eats بالشمال. So that seems straightforward. We say it's haram to eat with your shimal. So why did Imam al-Nawawi, this is the one who wrote Imam al-Nawawi, he's a Shafi'i scholar, and he wrote that eating with your left is makruh. It's not haram, it's makruh. Why is it makruh? The hadith says, la ta'kulu, don't do it. And he says, because there's a principle that hadith and text which deals with manners, they are understood as being advice, not an obligation. So this is don't eat with your left hand, because it's to do with adab, manners, we understand that it's better not to eat with your left hand, but you can. Where did he get this principle from? Usul. But then Imam Ibn Hajar said no. The second part of the hadith, فَإِنَّ الشَّيْطَانِ يَأْكُلُ بِالشِّمَالِ, but verily shaitan eats with his shimal. We are forbidden as human beings, as Muslims, to do actions and imitate the shaitan. It's haram to imitate the shaitan. So therefore, that last section reinforces the original meaning of la, don't do, and therefore la ta'kulu bishimal means it's haram. This whole discussion, it's a short one, but I'm saying that whole discussion of this principle and that principle and whatnot, that's to do with fiqh, your understanding, your usul. You need to have the correct tools available to extract the right answer from the text. So we will definitely be taking as much juicy bits from these books of fiqh of usul or qawaid, principles. I'll get into all the details of that another time because the video's a bit too long now. And another book which I love, because at Arabic course we teach Arabic. So these are my selection of Arabic books. So we have poems here. This is a good one. Let's go for something nice. Here we go. So here we have Khansa. This is a poem by a sister. She was alive at the time, Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Khansa, and she lived life before Islam and became Muslim as well. And she wrote many poems about her brother Sakhar, who died prematurely, and she was very upset about it, and blah blah blah. So we got poems. This one we've got. Where's Hutay'ah, my friend Hutay'ah? We've got Majnoon Layla, a poem about a guy who loved Layla so much. He went Majnoon, went mad, insane. Poems are a very important part of Islam, a very significantly important part of Islam. Because via poems we learn words, we learn how Arabs use words, and those words we need to understand the Quran. If I say this word means X, Y, Z in the Quran, I need proof. Where is your proof? From the language. So if you can't prove that this word means such and such in the Arabic language, then we reject it. You know, so that proof comes from here. So many books on grammar. At the top here is a big long dictionary here. So these are the different topics we have. You can say in Islamic sciences, and there's many other topics, subtopics that we can discuss and talk about. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I hope hopefully we'll have a video once every day for the month of Ramadan, and we'll cover what we can and benefit we can during this month of Ramadan. Please, if you want to get notification of these videos, subscribe and press the bell button underneath.
That will let you know as soon as you have a video uploaded, you get a notification about it. Subscribe, share with your friends, and share the barakah. Assalamu alaikum.